We now return to Labor Press's Blue Collar Buzz with your hosts, Bill Holfeld and Joe Maniscalco.
I'll keep working my way back to you, babe, with a bird.
And we're back with more good talk right here on Labor Press's Blue Collar Buzz, the program that tells the story of everyday workers, talks about their struggles, and hopefully it talks about their victories. I'm your host, Bill Holfeld, and in the studio with me is my co-host, my producer, and my good friend, Joe Maniscalco. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. Today is one of those days we get to talk about one of our victories. Is that right?
It is.
All right. And who's going to tell us about that?
We're welcoming back to the show Phil Cohen. He is Special Projects Coordinator for Workers United. And as you remember, Bill, Phil was talking about a big fight going on down in North Carolina.
I do, yeah.
Mohawk plant, where the company was trying to lead a decertification effort. And Phil's been neck deep in that fight, and he's here now with some good news.
Okay, Phil, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you so much. Good to be here.
Okay, so I can't wait any longer. You got good news. Lay it on me.
Okay, following an intensive 6-month investigation, the National Labor Relations Board has issued a massive complaint against Mohawk Industries for illegal union busting.
Nice.
And they have dismissed an illegally obtained decertification petition. The dozens of violations cited in the complaint include numerous counts of direct management solicitation, bullying employees who refuse to sign, threats and interrogation of employees who refuse to sign, making illegal promises to employees of how things would be if the union was gone, allowing free run of the plant to a group of anti-union employees to try to get the petition signed. A number of the allegations naturally refer to the company as a whole, but there were 3 members of management who between them were cited for 45 illegal acts violating the rights of workers.
Well, Phil, do me a favor, all right? Because one of the first things I want to drill down on is I want to go into a little bit of detail about the bullying you were talking about because, you know, we still have this image, and when I say we, I'm talking about organized labor,
Sure.
We still have this image of being, this false image of being quote-unquote union thugs, right? This is why we never got FCA pass, right? This is why we never got card choice, because all of us union thugs were going to be out there in the parking lot intimidating everybody, right? And the truth of the matter is that in reality, all the bullying and thuggery goes on the part of management.
That's absolutely right.
So tell us about some of the bullying that they talked about in the complaint.
Look, yeah, the ways that, management bullies employees normally has to do with their job security. Management targeted employees they believed would be weak links, would either just cave in and sign the petition if their arms were twisted, and certainly wouldn't come forward and be whistleblowers. So in some cases, it simply involved going to the same employee on their job, 3 times and saying, sign the petition. Why won't you sign the petition? This is how wonderful life will be without the petition, essentially browbeating them down. In one case in particular, they actually called an employee into the office whom they knew kind of was intimidated by a particular department head who was the one who called him into the office. She instructed him to sign, then instructed him to go out on the floor and sign certain coworkers with whom she knew he had a relationship.
It's just, why don't you just take somebody's lunch money in the cafeteria,
Yeah, that's exactly right. They conveyed to certain employees directly or indirectly that their job security was at risk if they didn't sign the petition.
And the weak links you talk about, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people were, maybe new to the community, so didn't have as strong social ties, or perhaps were single parents, or, people
well, actually, in most cases, they were non-members. This is a right-to-work state. They were non-members. They'd never been active in the union. But what was extraordinary about this is the number of these supposed weak links who came forward and gave absolutely stunning, detailed, explicit affidavits to the NLRB. Many of these folks really went through a process before they decided to actually go to Winston after first being convinced to come down to the hall and speak with me, that I would call a battle between fear and the desire to speak the truth and do the right thing. And for me, the most rewarding part of this entire project has been seeing how many people chose the right path after going through that inner conflict and, in fact, did get a grip on their fears of just walking through a door they've never been through before, their grip on the fears of what happens if the company finds out, and coming with me to Winston-Salem to the NLRB regional office to give a statement.
It's funny, Phil, because so many of us tend to think that, if I were in that situation, I would do the right thing. But we really don't know how intimidating that can be unless we're put in that spot.
Listen, that is absolutely right. And for folks who've never before given an affidavit under oath to a federal agent, that's a very intimidating process. For folks who don't understand their rights and protections under the law as federal witnesses, they really don't know what's going to happen if they are whistleblowers. And part of the process involves explaining people's Section 7 rights to them, and that the moment they introduce themselves to an agent of the NLRB, they have in fact become protected government witnesses.
Phil, can you talk a little bit about the significance of where this happened? This happened in North Carolina.
Look, what's especially significant in terms of the timing of this is that given that we are now under the Trump administration of wholesale union busting, it's important, I think, a message is sent throughout the labor movement that there has been a major defeat of professional union busters in, the right to work South. The company hired a prominent union busting attorney who tried every legal trick in the book to get our evidence shot down or circumvented. He failed every time.
Now, once again, Phil, this is one of those images that, going back to that whole image of the union thug, I don't think most people out there are actually educated to the point where they realize that union busting is an actual profession. It's a specialty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk about that a little.
What's amazing about this, since companies are prohibited by law from engaging in decertification, what they always do is pick a small group of employees whom they can work through, but ostensibly pretend it's the employee's petition and being done without any management support or expertise. And that amounts to a fraudulent conspiracy to deprive workers of their rights and deprive the union of a local, which in this case it's represented for 79 years, in any other area of law. If people are busted for engaging in a fraudulent conspiracy of this magnitude, they go to jail. The attorneys who supported it and underwrote it get disbarred at the very least. This is the only area of law you can engage in a fraudulent conspiracy, and the worst thing that happens if you get busted is you don't get what you want.
Phil, I think we got to leave it there, but I want to invite you back, and we'll talk more about this. This is particularly pertinent for people here in New York City, where the charter spectrum strike has gone on for over a year, and who knows if that's going to head to decertification. This is a very important story to know about. But right now, we got to throw it back over to Bill for a spotlight on American labor history.